there, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've got a thing for stranger danger, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and this is why you always keep a cutlass on hand.
Hi, I'm Nico, and hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
Wow, that's not creepy.
Well then.
Well, I'm Stranger Danger.
Oh,
Right.
Well, we're here to review The Strangers, 2008. That's right. This was directed by Bryan Bertino, starring Liv Tyler as Kristen, Scott Speedman, also known as a half lichen, half vampire, as James.
Oh fuck, that's where I recognize him from. Okay.
Glenn Howerton as Mike, Gemma Ward as Dollface, Kip Weeks as the man in the mask, and Laura Margolis as the pinup girl. So, we open in the future with two young men calling the police in a panic, saying that there's a ton of blood and they don't know what happened and everyone's all panicky and, okay, we're set up, we know something went down. Okay, cool. So now we go back to the past, which is the previous night, and we open for real with James and Kristen, a couple who are coming back to a kind of sort of nice cabin in the middle of nowhere after a wedding. Now, things are awkward because James proposed to Kristen in private. He didn't do that like cringe shit where they do it in public after the reception, and she said no. Okay, James is taking this pretty rough, but Kristen is definitely still into him, so they start to smash. They are interrupted by a knock at the door. Now remember, dear listener, it's 4 a.m., and rather foolishly, they go to answer. They are greeted by a woman who is looking for someone, but they tell her that that person isn't there, and they close the door. Already messed up, but Dan, what's going down next?
So next, Kristen naturally wants some smokes. So James offers to go get some for her. While this is all happening, Kristen hears another knock at the door, and it's the same woman for earlier. Kristen doesn't open the door. Good. But she does call James on the house phone, but the line falls dead mid-call. Soon, the cabin/house is filled with banging noises from all sides and all around the place.
And we're not talking fucking.
Yeah, I was
Not
going to say,
that
she didn't
kind.
start hearing like, from like the sides. Not
I mean, I don't know what movie you were. No. But Kristen opens the back curtain
Wink, wink. No, not really. Not like that.
and she sees a large man in a mask staring at her.
Could still be the movie. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Freaked out, she runs into the bedroom until James shows back up.
All right. Well, backdoor curtain specialist Nico, what's going down next?
Kristen is well and truly freak-leaked out at this point, but
Oh, no. So you went there. I wasn't going there, but you did.
but James is convinced that nobody is there because he's also just kind of a fucking moron. He goes back outside and he sees that his car has been terribly vandalized. He and Kristen then attempt to leave, but another masked figure, a woman this time, crashes into them with another car, and they run back inside to the cabin's supposed safety. James now chooses to remember that there's a shotgun in the house, and after finding and firing a quick shot at the masked man, he and Kristen back themselves into a corner and get ready to shoot whoever comes around that corner.
Right. So James definitely readied in action or went into Overwatch, whatever series you prefer.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for them and everyone involved, really, the person who ends up coming around the corner is Mike, a friend of James. You see, James was pretty broken up about the whole rejection thing, and so he asked Mike to come get him. He thought the Mike was busy and wouldn't come until morning, but Mike's a stand-up guy. He really wants to be there for his friend, so he comes as soon as he can. Well, he catches a shotgun blast to the chest for his efforts and then dies. Note that this is the only time James is ever efficient with the shotgun.
To his face, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. To
Yeah,
the
that was
face.
a headshot.
Boom.
Well, just then, James remembers that there's an old radio in the nearby bar that they can use to call for help. Man, James needed to take some fucking omega-3s or something because he keeps remembering things like way too late. But despite being the only person with the firearm, he somehow fails at reaching the barn and is taken prisoner. I just want to reiterate that one more time. He has a fucking gun. in an open field, and they still get him. Okay.
Hide and seek champions 2K forever.
Kristen, without a gun, actually makes it to the barn, gets on the radio, but the radio is eventually destroyed, and she's captured as well. This is riveting, but Dan, I want you to take us to the end. What's going on?
So James and Kristen wake up tied to chairs. They see that their attackers, who happen to be one man and two women, are all masked and are standing in front of them. As their captors take off their mask, Kristen frantically attempts to reason with them, but it's to no avail. She and James are brutally stabbed multiple times and left for dead. Not the game. The movie ends with the trio of killers driving away and the young boys discovering the bodies, with a little plot twist at the end that Kristen is apparently still alive.
Somehow.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to talk through, so let's go ahead and get started. First, Nico, is it woke that there's two women and one man in this killing group, and would they have been more efficient with
That's
all
how we're
men?
starting this?
Or is this the liberal cucks at work again, Nico? What's going on?
Liberal cucks work.
Now I'm fucking around.
I would bring in the voice, but I just don't have it in me today. I'm very sick.
All right. Well, fair enough. So we'll stick to the script then. How does this movie look?
The cinematography for this movie is frustrating. Like, starting from the beginning, there's the scene where we have our heroic couple just plowing away and feeling the rebirth of a wonderful relationship. And then suddenly, is Amelia home? Just out of nowhere, which one they fucked up by ever answering the door there, which you already commented on. But, like, the lighting is strange because in that scene and many others, in fact, almost throughout the film, the lighting is such that the characters would have, I think, an easy enough time determining what exactly is in front of them. And yet, even still, there's this really fuzzy square just sort of obfuscating the view. And it's not like a lamp or anything. It's like a purposefully misplaced shot. And I noticed that happen a number of times. And I found it visually frustrating. Liv Tyler is beautiful, though, and the best part of this movie.
Agreed on both counts there. I think in terms of the cinematography, it's interesting because it's one of those kind of, the camera very specifically wants you to see what it wants you to see. And there's sometimes where I feel like the characters maybe shouldn't have been quite so surprised, but they still were.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from that, though, I mean, it's a 2008 film, looks like a 2008 film. But Dan, you're not a 2008 film. So how does this movie look?
I'm not. You're right. Thanks for noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I thought it was fine. I didn't particularly see any like terrible grievances against it or anything, but I also didn't love it. I thought it was fine.
All right. Well, why don't you pitch up here and go to the sound? What's the sounds like?
Sound was all right as well. The score was either suspenseful strings or country music, old country music, because there's a record player in the movie and it spins the record and they're playing old country music, which I thought was an interesting choice because old country is not really what you expect to hear, especially so predominantly in a horror movie. So I understand that they were listening to the music. So, you know, it was what was happening in the scene, I guess, but it was just an interesting choice. They could have listened to almost any genre of music and they went with that very not horrific or not even off-putting kind of soundtrack or anything. It was interesting choice in my opinion.
21 in prison, doing life without parole. Yo, that's not a song from my childhood right there, bro.
Yeah.
But
What kind of childhood did you have?
a very mixed up and confused one.
Oh, no.
In my opinion, the one thing from the sound that I took away, I agree with everything you say there, Dan. And really the only other horror movie I can think of immediately that comes to mind is Silent Hill, first one, where Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire, not really country in the same way, but that was used as kind of a motif in that movie. But aside from that, one thing that I didn't like was sounds that people make when they move around. Because some sounds I feel like we should hear that is dead silent. Like they smashed dude's windshield. What's his name? James. They smashed his windshield. Silence. He doesn't even know what happened until he gets outside. Why? Why wouldn't you hear a windshield get smashed or your car get vandalized? Does the big guy not make a sound when he walks in the house? Like, these people all have, like, I don't know, super stealth shoes or something like that. And I don't know, like, I get it to raise the tension and the filmmaking and everything else like that. I will rant more about this when we talk more about The Strangers, but as far as the sound
That's
goes,
the whole episode, actually, Justin.
true enough.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. But Nico, sound off on the sound, that is.
I felt like this was one of the films that used the jump scare cue like way too fucking much.
Yep.
Like way too goddamn much for not even remotely appropriate scenarios. Like there'll be a moment where it's like, babe, I'm looking for my phone. I can't find it. And then as she like finds it on the counter or whatever. And it's just like, are you trying to make me, the viewer, associate like a cell phone with the horror? Like, why? What was the purpose of this sound design here? I don't know. I wasn't a fan. And on the topic of the sound, like, I really don't think that we needed to whisper over half the script. I feel like there could have been a little bit more emotional depth.
You sound like a combination of Liv Tyler and Adam Sandler's Little Nicky. But regardless, your point is taken. Now, I want to know, with a movie called The Strangers, who are the strangers? What are the
I
strangers?
don't fucking know, man.
Are they just people? Are they psychopaths? Who are they?
They're just people like you and us, because don't you know, this movie is based on true events.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
There was an obsession with horror films from that decade that I remember very, very, very well, where everything was fucking based on a true story. Fucking, I don't know, Darkness Falls with the fucking Tooth Fairy taking everyone's shit based on a true story. Bruh, come on, man. And this is very tangential. Did you actually look into this? This wasn't based on any one specific story.
Based on home invasion in general.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like at that end, you could just say that on most horror movies. Like,
Yeah.
people do be dying out here.
Based on things people are scared of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did see or read that apparently there was one kind of like cabin invasion or break-in or something like that was pretty similar to this movie. But I guess the director didn't specifically credit it, so I don't know too much about that. He could have been pulling an Aronofsky. I will never forget that, you bastard. Perfect Blue's great. But I will also say, as far as the strangers go, I think they got to be just some psychopaths. Because, I mean, they show up and they just start killing. And, I mean, how'd you feel about how they went about their killing, Dan? They were pretty methodical, weren't they? They had everything surrounded. They were like, this was like SEAL Team, like, 10 or some shit, bro.
Yeah, it was.
What'd you think about how they just attacked? Did you think they were psychopathic like, or did you think they were too like planned out? How'd you feel about it generally?
I couldn't get a read on who or what the strangers were. I almost thought that they might be like supernatural too. Because there's some unexplained shit, bro. Why the fuck is that? Like, why does the record player just start and stop? It happens multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And
The fire takes care of itself. That house should have been burned down.
nah, see, that's what I thought too. But she opened the flue. That's why. But like, you know, there's just things that shouldn't really be possible. And how did they get into the house and move around the house and do all these kind of things? It doesn't make any logical sense to me.
And how did that one dude, Mike, like literally just never turn around?
Yeah, right.
That was so fucking dumb. I'm sorry.
I just kind of thought maybe they were like supernatural or something. Except that doesn't even line up because they're humanized at the end. Like at the very end of the movie, as they're like driving away, one of them says, "It'll be easier next time," or something like that, which isn't a supernatural thing to say. It's not very psychopathic to say. It's very not characteristic of what they've been portrayed the whole movie, even if you don't think they're supernatural or whatever. Like to me, out of tone and out of character with everything else they've done.
So I thought about that, Dan, and I was thinking, is this in character or is this meant to be like a setup for a sequel? Because you're right. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, why would these psychopaths have to console one another? Oh, this time was a little bit tough, but next time will be easier. You're right about that. And to your earlier point about things not lining up or things not making sense, things would make a lot more sense if they were supernatural. I actually agree with you there. Because how the fuck do these people warp? Like, they're just like, okay, little diatribe. I played Resident Evil 2 Remake a fuck ton when it dropped.
The game is so good.
I love that game. But sometimes it'd be like, yo, how is Mr. X stalking me across this map? And I looked it up, and apparently, super long story short, the game routes him to you, and he will teleport to you. So he's always there. Okay, that makes sense for a horror game, sure. But in this movie, I feel like the same thing happened. I feel like the plot just made them appear where they needed to appear sometimes. Like, Mike showed up, and this didn't make any sense. Mike shows up to the house, calls James, gets no answer. One of the killers comes and bashes in his windshield, and Mike's like, fuck it, I'm just going to go inside. What? Like, you don't want to call the cops? You don't want to do anything? You don't want to drive away? Like, nothing at all. Like, nothing about that is suspicious to you. You just enter the house. And, like, the big dude was right behind. You're telling me the big dude was making no noise. And also, Mike's in the house. He calls for James and Kristen one time. The record cuts off. And he doesn't even say, hey, James, Kristen, you guys in here? It's Mike. Like, I wouldn't want to walk in on someone doing the dirty. Like, I would call multiple times, not just one time. Not on my phone. I mean, like, call out to them.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. When James goes out to the barn, one of them is just there with a fucking big ass light. What are you doing? What are you doing? What is the point of what you're doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. They were already there looking for, I mean, what's going on? So, yeah, I agree with that. And Nico, I guess, just generally, do you think they're supernatural? Bad plot writing? Like, what's it to you?
I wish they were supernatural. That would have been much more exciting. If they were ghosts, that would make this movie make much more sense. But no, they're just dudes with a plus 70,000 in stealth, I guess.
Yeah, that is fair. And I guess it kind of all wraps up with, they ask, why? And the only answer we really get for this violence is, because you were home. How does that make you feel? How did that line make you feel?
So, hot take, I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Because I think some movies fall into this hole of trying to explain everything. And even though I just complained about The Strangers not being explained enough, but sometimes bad shit, people get murdered, whatever, bad shit happens just because these people just want to kill people. So it doesn't matter who they're killing or why they're killing. There's no reason. It's just, you happen to be here and I want to kill somebody, so I'm killing you. And I kind of liked that because they didn't try to over explain it and try to come up with some cockamamie plot of like a fucking, oh, you were my ex-lover and I saw you at the wedding and I got mad and concocted this plan, like whatever. No, it was, you were here, so I killed you.
Is it wrong that I would have liked that more? But no, I mean, I see what you mean. And there is a certain element to it where there's that feeling of not being safe, because it could even happen to the viewer. Like oftentimes when you watch a horror movie, it's, well, I personally haven't disturbed, an ancient sacred graveyard, so I don't think Pumpkinhead's coming after me or whatever else.
Bro, you have talked, I'm pretty sure, multiple times about getting it in on graveyards.
No, I would never do that. Justin Stamp would never put Justin Stamp in a graveyard. I'll have you know. But
yeah, okay.
Nico, let's get back to the real topic here. Because you were home, are you often home? And how'd you feel about this line?
Bro, I've been home for the past week, just absolutely miserable. So yeah, I mean, I would be here. I wouldn't fucking answer the door at 4 a.m, though. I tell you goddamn what. Nope. Absolutely the fuck not. And low-key, I'm a little bit frustrated that the door didn't even have a peephole.
Yeah, bro, that got me too.
Like, you got
Yep.
all these other fucking little, I don't know, quality of life, just like little accoutrements and stuff, and just like, I don't know. But to your point, Dan, I think there is something not refreshing about it, but just like, yeah, random crime does happen as the movie begins. Like, this is based on true events.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But I also want to know, is Kristen still alive, or was that just meant to be like a jump scare? Like, do you think she actually lived?
I thought she was pretty alive in that scene, so yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't think it was
don't know.
realistic at all. I don't think someone would just like bolt up and start screaming in someone's face. Instead, I would be imagining it would be like, "Help me, get the police." You know, like she was talking the rest of the movie, but no, instead we got a full bodied scream. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's lame that they would leave her alive.
I do too.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Like you had one job.
Yeah. Unless she just is mad tough and she like tightened her abdominal muscles when she got stabbed so the knife didn't penetrate. Because I know there's some people who could do that.
Virgin murder victim. My muscles are weak. Chad, murder survivor. I flex when I get stabbed. Knives ping off of my abdominals.
I'm trying to tell you, that's how people live through shit, bro. You don't want to talk about it? Fine.
You Larry the Lobster looking ass.
I like if you ever do like some serious.
I wish the movie had more of that. That would have made it much better.
That too.
Much better experience for me.
I just want to say, if any of you ever do some real martial arts training, you know what I'm talking about. They like drop the stones on your on your guts and all that. So trust me, you can for sure give yourself resilience against attacks. That's all I'm saying. But I want to know now.
Stone, knife. Yep.
Ah, you brought a stone to a knife fight.
Let me sharpen my abdominal muscles against cast resistance here. Cast protect.
Hi, I'm Gordon Ramsay. I'm here with the new regular stabbing knife. You got a guy you want to injure? No problem. You're not going to get any tight muscles out of this cunt.
So I was going to ask about the genre, but this is way more entertaining. But I feel like I got to go back to the genre now. Is this a slasher, or do you think Home Invasion should be its own thing? Is Home Invasion a slasher, in your opinion?
I think Home Invasion is kind of its own thing.
Okay.
But now that I think about it, for whatever reason, the only other Home Invasion movie I can think of is Home Alone. And that's not quite the same genre.
I mean, you know.
No, Dan, the one we watched a long time ago together, Hush,
Yeah.
with the deaf woman.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. And I feel like Home Invasion is almost like a more specific version of the slasher. Because to me, a slasher is just, there's typically a solitary killer, or sometimes more than one, but typically just one. And the killer is basically going after a large group of people for whatever reason, a perceived wrong or some rule they've broken. But this is more so, I guess, meant to be realistic, where someone's in their house and someone's just trying to break in and they're doing all the creepy shit to try and break in. I will say, and it's not worthy of a talking point, but this movie is very, very similar to another movie that came out around the same time, a little bit before this movie, called Vacancy. That was extremely similar in terms of vibes to this one. I actually, when we were going to review this, in my memory, I actually had this one mixed up with Vacancy a little bit.
Is that the one that you and I had watched?
Yes.
Okay, because so I had it mixed up too, because that's what I thought I had seen this movie, but I didn't. So
You
that
hadn't. You saw Vacancy. You and I watched that a while back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I guess, Nico, we come to you now for your enlightened opinion. Slasher, Home Invasion, same thing, different things?
I feel like they ought to be different things, yeah. But like the more I think about, I guess, well, Dan, you had mentioned something earlier about how like slashers have more victims and home invasions seemingly don't, unless
Right,
you just
right.
have a big ass family in your house, which would make
Yeah.
for a pretty funny movie now that I think about it. Just like going from one room to the next, all Scooby Doo like, "Hi, Mamma Mia, what's happening?" I don't know
Whoa,
why
whoa,
we're
whoa, whoa,
Italian
whoa, whoa.
here, but that's what
What?
came to mind. I'm a
Okay.
mess, dear listener. Please
Okay.
pardon anything that comes out of my mouth this episode.
Yeah, please do.
I love how that started. You know, home invasion with a family full of people would actually be pretty funny. Watching a whole family get murdered, yeah, hilarious.
Hey. Hey. Well, I think it's time for us to, oh, Mamma Mia, traipse over to the what would you do? So,
Jesus.
Jinkies.
is that what it is, Nico? Is that what it is?
I
Like,
think so.
Scooby-Doo, like Velma gets hurt, so they got to replace her like that one Robot Chicken skit, but it's
Yeah.
just an Italian chick, and
Yeah.
instead of Jinky, she just starts shouting like Mamma Mia.
Exactly.
Or whenever they do like Fred's trap at the end, she like hits him with some uncooked pizza dough or something like that. I can see a lot of things happening here. Anyways, so for the what would you do is going to be pretty simple and straightforward. So our semi-annual or triannual DOTD meetup. Let's say this year we meet up in a cabin in the middle of nowhere because that's what we do.
Oh, okay.
And let's say maybe someone starts banging on the door. We all have common sense. We've said it. We're not going to answer. But let's say people are actively trying to break into the house now. And there's 3 of them. There's 3 of us. What would you do in that scenario? What's your plan of action? Let's say for whatever reason, we can't call the cops. Maybe all our phones are simultaneously dead. They got like cell phone jamming technology. I don't know. But we can't call the cops. It's just the 3 of us against the 3 of them. What are you doing?
I'm asleep.
All right. Justin is 2v3 now. I would first and foremost grab the shotgun.
You would remember
course of
that there's a
action.
shotgun sooner.
Yep. I would also team up on one person each. Or not one person each. That's not what I mean. I mean, I would gang up on one person at a time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it'd be 3v1 and then 3v1 and then, yeah.
Smart man.
That's a pretty smart strategy there. Nico, I'm going to wake you up because I ain't doing this alone. So now what are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you this. I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place because, I mean, obviously the 3 of us aren't getting married. That'd be some weird fucking update to this little triumvirate here.
Fuck the
But
institution of marriage.
honestly.
Well, no, I'm just talking about, let's say we're just chilling in the woods or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, what's really good? How's your defense?
I mean, has the like electricity gone out at this point and everything, or is this like what's the scenario?
We still have a little bit of electricity left.
Okay, bet. I would do the classic, like, get some sort of, like, air spray and then, like, a match or something. And you want to come in here? All right, you're getting set on fire. Let's go, bitch boy.
That's true. I feel like for me, I would just grab a fucking melee weapon. Because this is the thing most people don't realize. Like, these guys didn't have any guns at all. They were manual with, like, an axe.
As opposed to automatic.
Yeah, So,
No, clutch.
I mean to say, like, I'm not going to lose 3-on-1 against some dude when, like,
If your right arm is the gas and your left arm is the brake, where's the clutch?
you're nuts. But the point being
Oh.
is, I still think we'd win. I feel like it's not even a contest. I feel like 2-on-1, you'd still win. Because you could have one person with, like, the knife and one person with the shotgun.
And one person with the sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if necessary. Yo, Nico, I'm going to tell you, dear listener, what would really happen is this. Like, Dan and I would take out, like, all 3 of them, and then Nico would, like, wake up unless the last one was, like, twitching or something. And then Nico would just, like, take him out and be like, I'm glad we were able to work on this together, guys.
Mamma mia.
Nico looks over. That's why you don't mess with the familia, bitch.
Oh, no. Suddenly transform into Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
The killer looks up. How did you beat us? That's the power of family. I also make these movies so that I can keep making Riddick movies. Pitch Black was a good movie. Go see it, please. But yeah, we should watch Pitch Black, by the way.
We should.
But yeah, cool. Well, I think that's it for the What Would You Do? So now we're going to go ahead and traipse on over to the critic review. What does this have? It's very mysterious. It's very strange. Dan, I ask you, give us your thoughts. What does this movie have on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics?
62.
Nico, bestow upon me your wisdom. What did the critics say about this?
I'm going to do reverse of Dan, say 26.
Dan wins because this
Excellent.
has a 49% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Good.
Audience was right there with it at a 48. But I want to know your thoughts. Tell me, what do you guys think about this movie? Just give me maybe a real brief consensus and your score.
So this movie's dog shit. I had a bad time watching it and I hate the characters. I'm giving this a 20.
This movie's some shite. We've already ranted a little bit, but to me, the biggest grievance I have against it is that I didn't really feel anything watching it. Like, I wasn't scared. It wasn't tense to me. There was no suspense, no anything. It just was.
It's all mama no Mia.
Yeah.
Yep, that. Yeah. I just think like that's worse. So I'm going to give this a 20 as well.
I'm in the same boat with you guys. I did not have a fun time on this movie at all. I thought it was boring. It actually put me to sleep. I had to wake up back up and fucking rewind and go back again because like it's just so painfully mundane. It thinks it's building tension, but it's like when you got that friend who thinks he's really deep, but he's just like quoting Joker memes from social media. Like that's kind of what this movie is. And I don't know if maybe I'm looking at this through 2024 eyes, maybe. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I've seen way better at this point, but I've seen way better at this point.
Yeah.
The characters don't make smart decisions ever. The killers are basically impossible to defeat because they can teleport and they are silent. And the main characters like won't even do the smart thing of like, they were positioned in the corner at one point and he killed his friend, which is fucked up as it sounds, shows that the tactic works. And now he's just going to like abandon the tactic and go for the radio. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you give up your safe place? Because once the morning arrives, you're good. And this all started at, yeah.
Why?
Because when it's daytime, there's going to be more people.
Do you know that there's going to be more people? It seems like a pretty secluded area.
Well, at daytime, I think maybe you can holler for some help. That's what I'm going to think.
I mean, they also said there's no dogs barking, even though we do hear a dog
Yeah.
once. But he was like, there's no dogs. Don't see any signs of neighbors, no cars driving by. And I assume that when they get there, it's not like super duper late.
Oh, it was super duper late.
It was 4 a.m, wasn't it?
It was like 3 a.m. when they got there.
Oh, okay. So, okay,
3
maybe I'm
a.m.
wrong.
in the morning.
Also, on that regard, when we see the whole area lit up, it looks fairly rural, I would say,
Mhm.
but definitely doesn't look like they're totally isolated. I feel like there's way more houses on that area.
True. Or enough to have kids
Yeah.
running around.
Yeah,
Children.
right.
So that's fair. That's fair.
You wouldn't get the fucking Mormons hiking into the middle of the woods for one house.
Yeah. So I say all that to say that it was boring. It didn't make me feel afraid. I felt nothing. I felt happy when the movie was over. And I felt that it even stretched the hour 25-minute runtime. They could have cut a lot out of this movie. So I'm going to give this one a 39. I mean, it's just not very good. And I love Liv Tyler.
Love Liv Tyler.
Love, live, laugh. So, yeah. I think we're all going to say here that this does not get a recommendation from the pod.
Nope.
Definitely not.
The only thing I would say positive about it is that it exemplifies why you don't open that door.
Yes.
Hey, dead ass.
Yes.
Yep.
That is true.
I was trying to hold a "don't open that door" joke in the whole time. I was like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, dear listener, if you like this movie, I want to tell us all about
Are you
it.
sure? Get better opinions.
That's true. Or if you don't like this movie, I want to tell us all about it. Or if you've got a mask, I want to tell us all about it. Hit us up. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, you can check everything we've done on our website, which is dotdhorror.com. But till next time, seriously, don't open the door at 4 a.m. Take care of one another. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.